My name is Christina Burrell. I'm the exhibitions director here at the Art Center. So tonight we have the unique pleasure of learning more about Michael Kinsey's vision and artistic process. And we also have a very special guest acting as our interviewer, Miss Jessica Ward. Michael's exhibition, Views from the New Horizon, highlights an intimate selection of photographs he took for Sarasota Magazine's Listening to Black Voices series. I'd like to give a big thanks as well to Gulf Coast Community Foundation for their sponsorship of the exhibition through the Frank and Elsie Bushrow Charitable Fund. Jessica Ward is a journalist whose work has been published by Ebony Magazine, Pearl Magazine, the Sarasota Herald Tribune, the Atlanta Voice newspaper, Sarasota Magazine, Tempo News Florida, and the Northport Sun, among others. She is the founder of Polyphonic Inc., a nonprofit organization that works to advance social justice through art and community service by using grants, mentorship, and education to remove roadblocks that make it hard for marginalized people to compete and gain access and success in journalism, film, and in the arts. A graduate of Florida A&M University's School of Journalism and Graphic Communication, Jessica also volunteers with multiple nonprofit organizations around Sarasota. And Michael. Michael Kinsey is a portrait photographer, filmmaker, and content creator. Born and raised here in Sarasota, Kinsey received a national scholarship to attend Ringling College of Art and Design in '85, and he is a founding member of the West Coast Black Theater Troupe, where he has worked as an actor and performer since 1994. Michael's photographs and short films have received national recognition and awards. His work has been featured in Rolling Stone, Inc. magazine, and the Washington Post. In 2020, Kinsey began working on the Listening to Black Voices series, for which he has photographed over 50 individuals in our community. The subsequent photographs, in Views from the New Horizon, display Michael's creativity, skillful manipulation of light and shadow, and a profound understanding of the human condition. It has been a great honor to work with Michael on producing this exhibition, and my personal pleasure in getting to know Michael as an artist, mentor, friend, and overall wonderful human being. Please join me now in welcoming a warm welcome to Jessica Ward and Michael Kinsey.
Thank you so much, Art Center, for having me. Michael Kinsey, thank you. I really appreciate this opportunity. I'm super excited to be here, and I'm happy to be the person that would allow you guys to get to know Michael Kinsey. Okay, so let's get started. Are you ready?
Yeah,
ready? Okay. Okay, so many people right now at this time know of you because of this Listening to Black Voices series in Sarasota Magazine and your photography and all the people that you've photographed. But there's a lot about you that people may not know about your artistic background and your journey, being an actor, being a singer, being a musician, all of the different things that you do. We just learned that you were a student at Ringling College. So please just talk to us about your artistic journey, where you began, and all of the things that you do.
Wow. You make me sound so interesting. What that really translates to is I've done a lot of waiting on tables, really. I started my artistic journey as a student at Booker High School, really. During the early part of the 80s, late 70s, Booker was a volunteer school. I don't know if it still is. Predominantly at that time, it was a predominantly black school. I don't know how many people we have here who are from Sarasota. But it was a volunteer school, and one of the things that Jan Gibbs and a few very young, optimistic teachers took it upon themselves to work really hard and fight the system and fight the school board to keep that school open. to what it's become today. I'm very honored to be one of the first VPA visual performing arts students there. So my background was in art initially. I started in music, but I got into the VPA program as an artist. So I just think about those days, it's really funny. So it was really fun, it was very, very tough. You know, things have changed. I've had the pleasure of going there now. So I think very early on, I was given a sense of who I was as an artist, the importance of art and how we live, and the importance of art in our culture. I remember one of the earliest lessons I had was from a teacher who, he could see I really wasn't taking the talent I had very seriously. I don't remember how old I was. And he said, you know, art is everywhere around you. There's no way that you can escape this. And I said, yeah, right. You know, I'm painting on a piece of paper, Mr. Bowen. And there's really nothing more than that. And he picked up a cup, and he said, an artist designed this. And he picked up a Coke bottle. He said, an artist designed this. He said, pick anything in this room, and an artist designed it. So I really started to look around me, and I really began to see art in everything. So, you know, I really think at that point I fell in love with art. We were always encouraged to talk about it, how something made us feel. Leaving high school, I made the choice to go to Ringling Art School. I really should say my mother made that choice for me. God bless her. And one thing I will say that Ringling taught me was that I was not ready to sit at an art board for 8 hours a day. And I was really too young. I wasn't mature enough. I hadn't grown up. You know, my talent was a lot more mature than I was. And I decided I was going to be a rock star, like Michael Jackson or somebody. So I quit school against the dean. The dean called me in and begged me not to do it. I did. And I went to New York, and I joined a band and started to explore my musical ability, which led to, and you can stop me whenever.
Keep going.
But after that, I'll condense it. After that, what ended up happening is that turned into a 15, 20-year career in music, which ultimately took me to LA, where Capitol Records, some bigger labels became interested in me, and then thank God that didn't work out. Again, I wasn't ready for that. It was a lot, it was too much. And my mother used to say, I came back so defeated, and, you know, the contracts fell through, all the money went away, and I remember saying to my mother, I probably was crying, I don't know what happened, I don't know what happened. She said, I don't know either, son, I'm praying for you. I've been praying for you. And that's what happened. You know, it was way too much. Around 99, I'm gonna fast forward, around 99, I had worked at a very large, independent Florida, it brought me back home, independent Florida record label where I got to work with some really amazing, talented rappers and things like that. And I decided again that this wasn't for me. I think I was kind of getting older, and I felt like, you know, I didn't like the direction that hip hop was going in for me personally at the time. So I took a break from it, and I would produce other and mentor other artists in this community. So a lot of people know me. I'd already taken, I left out my time with West Coast Black Theater. If anybody wants to ask me about that, they can. But by that time, I had my stint with West Coast. I took a break from all artistic endeavors to just be me. I was probably about 35, 34, and it had been from literally 14 years old all the way through of nothing but artistic stuff. If I wasn't painting, I was doing something else. I was, you know, playing an instrument. If I wasn't doing that, I was on the stage acting. If I wasn't doing that, I was somewhere writing a play. If I wasn't doing that, I was teaching other children how to do these things. So, and I had not picked up a camera yet. I mean, very briefly at VPA, we were required to, and my art teacher said, the photography teacher, Charles Neubauer, who's really big here in Sarasota, said, I think, kid, you got some talent here. You should. I was like, this was before digital. I was like, man, I'm not trying to be around no chemicals. I ain't going in no dark room. So I never picked up a camera after that. I got my little B+ or whatever it was, and I left that alone. So what led me to pick up a camera was I had begun to partner with a young man who wanted to do hip hop and music production. So he came to see me and he started this company. So I was working with all these young artists, and he said, well, Michael, you know, you're pretty artistic. Can you maybe shoot some videos for these kids? We can kind of partly this into extra money. I said, yeah, I guess so. So we ended up getting a camera. So it started as videography. This particular camera had a function that allowed me to take photos as well. I started shooting, doing photos of the artists for promotional reasons, and my phone started ringing. Hey, did you take this photo I saw on MySpace or Facebook or wherever it was? Yeah. Do you do weddings?
That is the next question.
I'm like, nah, I don't do weddings. I don't do weddings. Well, we'll pay you. But I was like, oh, yeah, I do weddings. So fast forward, I would show up with this, you know, for photos with this gigantic camera, because it was a big camera, and they go, what is this? And I go, well, no, trust me. So what I did notice was my work there was something, people were satisfied. I never had an unhappy client, but I wasn't happy. There were things that I didn't fully understand, and that's just my personal nature, is I began to look at it, and I hadn't looked at any other photographers, but I was like, why can't I get the shadows out of these raccoon eyes, or whatever the problem was? And why is this happening? And, you know, I need to really look at this. So I started studying more work and looking at, you know, how the camera works, and I discovered other photographers, and I was like, oh my God, how can I, you know, I would see any Leibovitz and just like leave. Like,
so you're speaking into my questions.
Oh,
so
sorry.
You have to go for air.
So that's it. So wrapping it up, I became a photographer after I started to really focus on what it means to control light.
So going into the next question.
Yes, go ahead.
So who do you look to, who inspires you as a photographer?
Well, before any of this, actually,
okay.
I decided to become, to take photography into more of a business, because as things begin to shift more digital, like, this really isn't that important, but you can get instead of, back in the old days, it would be, a studio would cost, you know, a couple grand, and it was really hard for me to record, and now kids can do it on their laptop. So things were changing. So I decided to do photography. I was getting more work as a photographer. So once that happened, I began to look at other photographers who I started to admire. And early on, it was people that were doing commercial work, like Peter Hurley, who was a headshot photographer. He was like, at that time, #1. And Sue Bryce, who was a very well-known portrait photographer, like a glamorous. So that's really what my focus was. I just wanted to make money and get more clients. So I wasn't focusing on the art aspect of it just yet. I really wanted to learn the craft of photography. And once I started looking, oh, okay, my stuff is starting, I can start charging, you know, a bit more. Then I started to discover, you know, the people who were doing this really beautiful stuff in magazines. Eddie Leibovitz, obviously, Platon, Richard Avedon, and a few others. There were several others that I started to look at. At that time, I felt like they were a little beyond me. You know, it was never even really a goal set for me. I just always felt like, oh my God, that's just beyond. I'm never gonna, you know, at the time, I'm not gonna have Michael Jackson or somebody in my office. So it was more about just reaching the truest expression of myself as an artist and being the best that I could be.
So we look at your photography out there, and we can see that each person has different expressions on their face. We can see that each portrait looks different, with like, some look more powerful, some look more, you know, subtle. How did you create that? And then in creating that, how did you use your inspiration from other photographers to create those works?
That's a very good question as well. I'm gonna answer the second part first. When Sarasota Magazine, when Heather Dunhill and Sarasota Magazine contacted me about this series, up to that point, I was getting known for shooting this series that I was calling Backstage, which was where these beautiful, vibrant photos of the West Coast Black Theater Troupe. They allowed me to shoot backstage during live shows because I really wanted to capture the life that's going on backstage. I've always thought that was fascinating, like the rushing and changing and all these things. So I was allowed to do that, and it's a beautiful series, but it's all color. So when they contacted me, they were contacting me on the things that they had seen. So I thought they wanted to do a color series. And then they said, no, we want these in black and white. And I'd only done a few things. So once we decided it was going to be black and white, I began to research people like Herb Ritz, who was a well-known black and white fashion photographer, and I liked his stuff, but it wasn't what I was looking for. And I ended up finding, for me personally, this studio that's in Paris called Harcourt Studio, which you can Google them and look them up. They do these old, glamorous, from like the 40s and the 50s, these glamorous photos, and I was fascinated with that. And I said, you know what, this inspired me. So I was having this conversation with Gail Fulton Ross one time, and I said, yeah, what I've been really trying to do is sculpt with light. Use light to sculpt. And she goes, oh, that's good. And so that's what the goal was for me, was to use a certain feel and aesthetic with black and white, not just contrast, but to evoke an emotion or feel using black and white and light. The expressions that you're seeing, I've had a lot of questions about that, a lot of conversations with people about those expressions. Me personally, I believe that each one of those people that walked in the room informed me of who they were as people. We talked about the things that they do. I asked a lot of questions, and I made some wonderful friendships with a lot of the people in those photos. But once you get past someone who's, an ambassador or this amazing financier or whatever they do, there's, this person that'll go, hey, listen, don't get this mold, don't do this or don't do that. Mm-hmm. And they're really surrendering themselves and trusting me. And we turn on music and I talk to them. Every once in a while, I'll tell them what I want to do. For example, the picture of the Reverend with the hands, that is based on Platon, this portrait photographer who I really love. And I explained to him what I wanted to do. This is very rare, but I knew because it was such an extreme, it was such an extreme picture that I wouldn't want to insult him when he saw it. I didn't want to shock him. So I explained that I wanted his hands to be larger than his head. And, I kind of explained it. He got it right away. He says, I love that. So we did it. And I instructed what we were going for and where to look and things like that. But other photos are really just the people, me being able to capture the person at the right moment after the lights are doing what I want. And they're all very patient, with the exception of one or two. Because they're busy, not because they weren't nice, but they were busy. So, some people came in, you got 20 minutes, and so, that's how it went.
So did you choose poses based off, someone's career or their personality?
Personality.
Okay, and then when you talk about sculpting with light, how did you choose who you were going to make look more dramatic or who you're going to make look softer?
That is also a good question. 90%, 95% of the time, I don't know what I'm going to do until the person walks in the room and we have a talk. Or I just see what they're wearing or something like that, or just they come in with this energy. So that will inform some things. Some people have said to me in a state of complete vulnerability, please make me look good, or please make me look beautiful. And I try to oblige. But I think everyone is beautiful. I really do. I think everyone is beautiful. So, and I tell them that. it's impossible for me to not make you look beautiful because you simply are. So what comes to mind, if I may, what comes to mind is Frank Griffith's wife, the big close-up. I believe that I know that she's paralyzed on one side of her face. And she's beautiful, she's very beautiful. But she's very worried about being photographed in a way where, she's just very self-conscious. And I told her that she was beautiful. And I said, I would never, I got you. And I did something that, she wasn't expecting. I took my camera and I said, I'm gonna run towards that. And her face fills the page. Because I really wanted her to understand that we don't see those kind of things. But that's a life lesson for me. And I just wanted her to understand that how we see you, how we can see anyone, has nothing to do with what's biological. So when you walk in and you look at her, you don't think, oh, you just look at her. And I think that's really the most important thing. And I think I'm blessed enough to have most of the people who I interact with and walk in my studio connect with me and understand it.
I love that. That was great. So when a photo is chosen to be published, are you choosing the photo based on your idea of what you like, or is it the subject, what the subject likes, or is it about what the magazine likes?
At this stage in the game, it's a combination of all three. In the beginning, I was Napoleon about it. I wanted the magazine to have confidence, so I wouldn't send them just one image. I would send them like 5 or 6 or more. But I would always say, I like this one. I would say, this is the one I like. And 100% of the time, they would pick the one I want. I said, this is the one I like. After a while, because it was new, and I knew that while Heather was writing beautifully, and these people were interesting and amazing, I really knew that the photography would inform and continue this. So I really was I wanted to make sure that my work was being properly represented. So initially I did, and then after a while, when it got to where people really wanted to be in the series, there were some people who have a brand, and they're very protective of that brand. I respect it. And so, we would have a talk, and not everybody, but there were some. And we would inform, the photos inform the brand. And still keep my artistic integrity. They still, have an aesthetic to them that says, this is my kid.
So as a journalist, when I first came back to Sarasota, I looked at Sarasota Magazine and Sarasota Herald for, I guess, just to know who was in the community and, who's who. And there was no series at that time. So I think how interesting. If somebody comes back to town now and they do the same thing that I did, there's going to be a ton of people that they can look at who are African American, and they'll know that they're here and they'll know what they do. So how does that feel to know that you are a part of, history, local history?
Ooh. Well, part of local history.
Local history.
Oh. No, I think it's wonderful. I think it's wonderful to know that we have these amazing young individuals, keep the bows, who are doing things, and these amazing individuals who have retired and have done these incredible things and have just given so much to this country and so much to our society. What I would like to, but I don't think the work is done by any means. I think what I would like to see is more of a reflection of the complete diversity here in Sarasota visually. There's no publication I feel yet that's really embracing all of the faces faces that are here, and local and retired and from abroad, but I really feel like there's a life here, and that started here in Sarasota. There are like Jets and Grimes was my choice, and so was Barbara Langston. Those are two people who are from Sarasota who have really been they have been activists, and they've really done a lot. They're pioneers in the Black community here. You know, they didn't matriculate. They were here, and they're literally historians of Newtown. So I would like to see a little bit more of that reflected here.
Great. So, I lost my question. Okay. Why do you feel that it's important that African Americans who are from here or who have come here from somewhere else are spoken about and highlighted?
I think, you know, it would be easy to harp on the whole George Floyd murder, but it's not.
Well, this did come from the George.
Yeah.
The series came from the.
And I feel like we've talked about that, and I'm not saying that that's by any means unimportant, but I feel like, and it was a catalyst for the series, but I do feel that aside, that Black history is American history. It's our story. And it belongs to you, me, and everyone here. And to not know these stories is a crime. And not just Black, but I mean, obviously, I feel like we're the least represented. So I'll keep my focus there. But we need to broaden the scope of what the American story really is.
You're from here, and you talked about some of the things that you've done nationally as well as locally. Can you talk to me about some of the adversities that you faced as an African American artist?
All right, how can I? All right, as you can imagine, living in the South, there are two Sarasotas. Let's use Sarasota. I'm going to keep it at Sarasota. There are two Sarasotas, and there's a Sarasota that I love, that I know, that you guys don't know, and that was filled with dirt roads and loving Black people. I came here in '77. When there used to be, and if you go down in the Rosemary District, there's a big sign that says this is the first Black business district of Sarasota. I grew up when all those people who created that were aging out. So I got to see a real cobbler. When we came here, there was a man who made shoes, and he would repair shoes. And he was on Martin Luther King, which back then was 27th Street, and I saw there was a man that would make bicycles. He would take parts, and they were really old people. There were butchers, there were all these people, all Black businesses were there, but they were getting old and they were aging out, and I literally saw them try to pass these things on to their children, but around 80-something, the crack epidemic hit. So that's there. Prior to that Sarasota was filled with love, a wealth of, encouragement and belief and strength and passion. And these people, Jets and Grimes, gave me my first job at 10 years old, and I remember walking into him and I'd show him something I painted, and he'd go, "Did you do this?" And he would put it up. "Can I hang this up?" And he would tell people in the barber shop, "Look what this young man did," and it meant the world to me. And it was family. And you knew, I'm gonna say this, it doesn't age well now, but Mrs. So-and-so could beat your behind just as much as your mom could beat your behind. So that was one Sarasota, and we all loved each other. The other Sarasota, it would remind you that you were another. No matter if you left out of the new town. At one point, there was a part of me that was very proud to say I'm from Newtown. And then there was a way that the other Sarasota would say Newtown. Didn't feel good. Didn't feel good. So that Sarasota didn't welcome a West Coast Black bigotry. They made it very clear that they did not want Black entertainment, they did not want Black theater, they did not want that. And that Sarasota would not help a young Black man who was trying to learn photography. You know, if I called and said, hey, I saw your work here, I'll work for free. I just want to learn from you, and so on and so forth. And I saw other photographers who didn't really getting these kind of opportunities. And those opportunities were lost on me. So I was left to YouTube or whatever I could find, or a book or whatever, in my town. And now I see, I'll just say, I am very grateful for what's happened in that room for me. I'm very grateful. But it was a lot of hard work. It was a journey. A lot of rejection. The same work that you're looking at went to other magazines in Sarasota as samples of what I'm capable of. That I got no responses, no answers. So I feel like part of it is my skin, but another part is just it's just like a form of entertainment. We work with who we work with. You know, if I like you or I work with you, I'm comfortable with you. But I do feel like the opportunities just they're not equal. So I would like to see Sarasota embrace. There's a lot. I'm just one. There are a ton of young Black photographers who I mentor. Tony Humphrey right there, who I've hired. He's a young photographer and filmmaker who I mentor and work with, teach and help. And many others. When I couldn't get for nothing, when I couldn't get help learning just to carry lights in, learning how to do these things, I said, I'm never going to do that. I'm never going to be that person. If anyone, and I get calls, young people call me and say, hey, I just bought this camera, can you show me? And they come right in and I teach them and show them everything. And I let them shoot with my cameras. And I just wish that Sarasota could be more informed of the younger, and the other Black artists that are here, because there's a lot of us.
Right. So, this is my uncle. This is my.
You're supposed to tell that.
This is my mother's baby brother.
You're not supposed to tell that. No. So listen to this. So I told Christina, I said, listen, because I didn't want to do an artist talk. I didn't want to do this. But thank you, Christina, thank you, Kinsey, for forcing me and talking me into this. But I said, well, if I'm going to do it, I want a Black journalist. And they said, well, who do you want? Do you know anybody? I said, let me think about it. Think about it for a minute. So, I got to play the game right. So I waited a couple of days, and I said, I found this amazing young lady. And so I started telling about her credentials. She's very qualified. She's brilliant. And so I introduced her, and we met everybody. I didn't say a word. Right. She got it on her own merit. So
It's okay.
This is my
It's leading to my next question. So I call my uncle and I talk to him, and we talk for hours sometimes on the phone just about life and art and work. But
I'm very proud of you.
I'm very proud of you. And you know, he's being modest, but you know, and he has films that I've been in, and he's you know, he does a lot of things, and we work together and we talk together. But what advice do you have for young artists coming up?
Ooh, okay. You know what? This is for young artists. Period. I heard this question was asked. A question like this was asked to Michael Jordan, and he said, "What I would teach anybody who was just starting is to fall in love with the game. Fall in love with whatever area of art that you've chosen as a vocation to do. Love it. Love it, love it, love it. Learn it, learn it, learn it. And then the next thing you want to do is be the best you at what that is that you can be. Learn your craft. Learn your craft. And then the next thing I would say is, at that point, once you feel that you're at a certain level of quality, then go out and just make some noise. Do it. Go out, set your goals, and just go for it. Go for it. Go for it. Go for it. And get ready. One very important mentor and teacher of mine said, if you're going to do this, be ready to wait some tables. So.
You said something when I asked you that question before. You said something that I want you to say now about social media and just not letting like followings and instant gratification get in the way of your art and your career.
I said that?
You said something wrong.
What did I say? I feel that social media is actually a good thing for the arts, in that in my day, I'll use music as the example. That's the best example. In my day, there was like whatever it was, the big six or whatever they were, that held the keys to, if I wanted somebody in Japan or Tokyo, or Japan or London or somewhere to hear my music, it had to be distributed by Warner, Elektra, you know, these big names, and we were locked out of it, and there was they were the key holders. The beautiful thing about social media is you have an instant audience. You have an instant set of eyes. The downside of that is you have an instant audience, and you have an instant set of eyes. And what we tend to do is if I have the attention of everybody, right? I know that if I say a certain set of words, some people will yawn, some people will go, I'm insulted, and leave, and some people will get the point, right? And that's my tribe. The problem with social media now is I'm going to do anything to keep all of you. So if I gotta get butt naked, or if I gotta smack somebody with a chair, or whatever, or if I can't be true to my own artistic integrity for the sake of views and likes, because I'm controlled by an algorithm, you know, that says, hey, I want more eyes and I want more engagement, and I'll do anything. Anything you do that's good or bad, you know, as long as it gets engagement. And smarter people understand that, but they, you know.
And it can make people stop, right? Don't you think, like, if you're not getting the reaction that you want, it can make you, like, put down your paintbrush or put down your camera? Absolutely.
And I feel like social media is a tool, like any other thing to get attention, just like the newspapers or any other type of media tool. I think it needs to be used as such. We shouldn't be in service to social media. Social media should be in service to the arts. So I would like to see more things like this, where people are coming into a central location to see art. One of the biggest impactful moments for me as a young man was a trip I remember taking when I was very young to the Salvador Dali Museum in St. Pete, and seeing the first thing that dawned on me, was I with you, Phil, when we did this? Oh, this is the artist here. We were kids, and I just remember, not just, the work was incredible, obviously, but what really impacted me was that this gigantic gallery is filled with the work of one man. One man did all this, and I'm looking, and there were masterpieces upon masterpieces. And then the curator said, "Oh yeah, there's another Salvador gallery in Spain that's just as big and just as full." And I thought, oh my God. So I think that we need to be in service to the arts, and if social media wants to join us for that ride, and we use that as a tool, that's great. But I would say to a younger artist, you're doing yourself a disservice if you're solely using this tool to get clicks and likes and things, because it won't translate to money. Unless you get some kind of endorsement deal, but it's going to be the kind of thing that you don't want. It's not in service to what you really want to do. So just use it as a tool.
Okay, so I have one more question, and then we're going to go into question and answer from the group. My last question is, what's next for you? Tell us about Gloria 19, and then I also want to, so yeah, what's next for you? Tell us about all of your projects, Gloria 19, whatever else, and where can we keep up with you?
Okay, what's next for me? I named my company is now called Michael Kinsey Photography. It's called Kinsey 5 Media because I knew my background in the arts really informs of my work in print, photography, film, music, all these things. So I knew I was going to do a multimedia company, but I knew I was going to build that company on the foundation of photography because I love it, and it was making the most noise. What's next for me currently is I've just finished a short film called Gloria 19. It's a mini-series. It's a science fiction story, but it's a thought piece. It communicates what it means to be human. It deals with a lot of concepts that we're dealing with now, pandemics and things like that. It's very fascinating. You are in it. And we're wrapping it up, and we'll let you know about when you can see the premiere of it. I'm really excited about it. We're going to definitely do the festival circuit first. My other film before that was Killer Date Night, and that went into the Pan-African Film Festival and the Harlem Renaissance Film Festival, and it did very well. So you'll be seeing more of me there's a series I'm working on in photography. I haven't fully named it yet, but it's, for now I'll just say it's going to be called something like Black Icons, Problematic or Not. And you will be challenged to walk through the exhibit or the collection of photos, and you will be met with certain iconic Black images that I photographed, people that I photographed as these really interesting people that you're very familiar with, and you will make the decision because of whether these things are something that have been polarizing or thought-provoking or wonderful or horrifying, because I feel like our story in the cultural landscape of America is it's beautiful and it's ugly. I'll tell you one quick story and then we'll move forward. I remember one of my earliest memories of what it really means to be Black in the arts and media. I was in Ithaca, New York. I couldn't have been more than 6 years old. And I was laughing at Bugs Bunny. I was laughing out loud. My mother was in the kitchen and she said, "Boy, what are you laughing at?" And I said, "Mom, Bugs Bunny is beating up this monkey. It's so funny." And she looked at the TV and she said, "Oh." She said, "Michael, that's not a monkey." I said, "It's not?" And she went upstairs and got this book and said, "Come here." And it was called, and you can look this book up, it's called The Black Book. I found out much later, only a few years ago, that it was one of the earliest works that Toni Morrison, when she was at Random She edited and put this book together. I didn't know that until a couple of years ago. But my mother had this book, and she walked me through it. And it was filled with some of the most beautiful and horrific images of, one minute you'd see a photo of a beautiful African tribe and tribal marks and beautiful photographs. And the next minute you'd see white people around a burnt body, a black person who'd been lynched, and they're all smiling. And the next minute you'd see a cartoon caricature, very much like what I saw on those films. And I just remember after, I felt a little sick to my stomach, but I also felt hurt. You know, I felt bad. I felt like, why doesn't some Bugs Bunny thinks I'm a monkey? Yeah, it was, I remember really being hurt. So that memory is informing some of the things that are going to be in the series that's upcoming that I'm doing.
And is there somewhere that we can keep up with you?
You can go to my website, which is Kinsey 5 Media, Kinsey, the number 5, media.com. That's my commercial site where people book me and things like that. If you want to find me on Instagram, which I'm doing more on these days, is at Kinsey, my last name, Kinsey, the number 5,000. And that's me.
So Kinsey5media.com and at Kinsey5000.
Yes.
So we are going to open it up to the floor, and there's a question there.
All right. Sorry about my long-windedness.
I'm running for questions.
As a local alumnus of Greenwood College, do you have any relationship professionally with the school to pass your talent on to the young people who are there now?
You know, the formal answer is no, but the students there tend to find me. I have no idea how they do it, but they tend to find me. And most of them are, ironically, they're filmmakers. A few have been photographers, but most of them are filmmakers. And they call me and they ask me for favors, which I always oblige. One young man won a black young man won an award, and he said, Mr. Kinsey, I love your work. And he said, listen, I ain't got no money, man, but they're gonna put my photo in the this big hallway, and all I got is my iPhone. Can you please take a photo of me? And I said, what's the award for? And he told me what it was for, and he had done all this amazing work in film. And I said, come on in, I'm gonna take this, I'm gonna make you look amazing. and that photo it's beautiful, and it actually got me more work, ironically. But yeah, it's a great photo. Will Morissette is his name.
So with your amazing talent in the arts, you have a variety.
That's my mom. And his big sister.
I wasn't going to say anything.
Oh, no, that's a secret.
Now she's gonna grill you.
Okay.
But this is a thought-provoking question.
Okay.
So with your, you're gonna have to think on your feet today. So with your amazing talent, I want to know, because it is God-given, I want to know, what are you hoping your legacy will be with the gifts that you have been blessed with? What will your legacy be?
First, I would want my legacy to merely be a body of work that not only informs the person looking at that work that this was a black man in America, but I would also want the body of work to speak to the human condition in a way where it resonates within them in some strong way. To either understand a point of view that they didn't have previously and learn from, or in a way where they go, oh my God, I thought it was just me. So that would be the artistic legacy. Then again, from a Black perspective, it is vital for someone in a position like I'm currently in to leave a legacy that in some way informs someone who looks like me or doesn't, that they have a responsibility to use their gift to say something.
And that is why I'm proud of you.
Really, two questions. One, your work that we've seen is focused on people. Do you photograph stuff other than people? And how do you differentiate between those two bodies of work? Number one. Number two, the work that we see here has been amazing. Is there a book to be done?
Yeah.
I mean, I see, Rizzoli, the great bookstore in New York, etc. I see a Rizzoli type of book that would really chronicle your work broadly.
Thank you. That's a good question. Oh, my friend Edwin.
One part question.
No. The first part of your question is, I spent so much time in my painting years and in my, just working in mixed media, painting stuff, as you say, like buildings or landscapes or cups and things like that, that I kind of lost a passion for it. I remember in art school, we would marvel over paintings that had ultra-realistic droplets. And we would just look at these paintings for hours and just go, wow, how do you do that? As a photographer, I don't know if anybody, there's a photographer, a wonderful commercial photographer here in town named Herb Booth. And I got to spend some time with him, and he that's his passion. He loves taking pictures of sockets and screws, and when you look at it, you can tell it's magnificent. That doesn't speak to me. From the moment I picked up the camera and really decided I was going to do, I just love taking pictures of people. I love people. That something about that connection with a person and capturing them in some way where you want to know more. I've always said that I want people to look at a photo and go, oh, I wonder, what were they thinking? What were they feeling? I want to know that person. I want to know more about them. So that right now, where I'm at in my journey with photography is I just love photographing people. The second part. Book. Heather Dunhill owns the Listen to Black. I own the photos, obviously, but Heather was wanting to do a book, and we've discussed it. For me personally, if I were going to do a book, I think I'd want a bit more work right now. I don't feel that I have enough to do a book yet. I want to do a book, but I would want to have a bit more work that I feel, is book ready.
Now day to wear heels.
Getting the steps in.
Let's make sure it's on. Okay.
There we go. I want to get your opinion on AI as it relates to, you spend so much time, and for everyone here, I've known Michael since my first year at Ringling, so I've seen him come from, I can't even say because it gets us all in trouble, to what he has now. And for AI to just drop out of nowhere and create an image out of nothing where you spent so much time and creativity. What's your thoughts on that?
One artist to another, that is a great question. I'll tell you, when I first saw AI, my first encounter with AI, the eye was up here and it was just really bad. But I know from just being in the music game and seeing how fast technology spins, I said, uh-oh, this is going to change everything. So the businessman in me said, headshots may be going away a little bit. And now, fast forward, we're about 4 years later, maybe 3 or 4 years later from seeing that. You can see where AI is now with photography. And by next year, it'll be doing film. So, on a practical sense, well, it doesn't concern me. I'm not worried about it at all. But on a practical sense, all it means is certain things are going to go away. Like the struggling actor who can't afford to pay someone like me for a shoot. I think it's wonderful because I've been that. I think it's wonderful that they can, for whatever the subscription fee is, get their headshot done, well enough that they can start getting some work. For me, I think AI will be a tool for the new generation of content creators. As far as what it means for photography, in a commercial sense, it's going to cause a lot of us to rethink how we market and what we're trying to sell. I don't think that it can, not yet, I don't think that it can replace someone grabbing a camera, setting up a light, getting you to look like you're looking bored right now, and then capturing that in a meaningful way. Truly, I don't feel like it's going to do that yet.
Because you can tell the difference.
You can definitely tell the difference, but that's, in 5 years, you probably won't be able to tell.
That's true, because it's gonna,
Yeah, so I just think all that will mean is what the consumer's looking for, what the artist, it's just going to change how we create art. That's all that it really means. I knew, for example, when I hated photography because you only had 36 exposures. You had to load it up. You had to crank the thing, and you had to put, it was just, your focus had to be perfect. You didn't know what you were going to get till you got back to the darkroom. And when digital photography came out, all the photographers said, "Oh, this is the end of everything. This is garbage." And then it became what it became. And then Photoshop came, and everybody said, "Oh, this is the end of editing as we know it. This is terrible. This looks garbage." And then, "Oh, you just hit a button and it erases a mole, and this is ridiculous." And it just made things better. It just became a better tool for us, a more efficient tool. AI is going to find its place, and it will put a lot of people out of work. It has. But it's the future. There are no more horses out there. All right, anybody else?
Do we have any other questions? No? Okay. Oh, a last question. Hold on.
This is not a trick question, but are you familiar with this series that a photographer named Stephen Katzman did of the churches in Newtown?
I know Stephen Katzman. I don't know why I know that. Why do I know that?
Stephen's such a good schmoozer, he got the city to pay him to do that series. Judson has some of his photos in his collection.
That's probably why I know it. I was going to say, I know the name, and I know that's probably why I know it. From Jay. I probably know that from Jay. So the question was, have I heard of this person?
Yeah, I was wondering if you're familiar with that series and what you thought about it.
I remember seeing a couple of photos in Jet's shop. I don't remember his name.
He also had an exhibition of the photos at the library on Martin Luther King.
Oh, okay. I do remember him. Yes. And I met him years ago because he came to our church years and years ago. I do remember his work, and I remember he took a picture of. You remember way back in the day when in Newtown, on Martin Luther King, there was a gas station. You remember that? There was a gas station on MLK, 27th Street, and there was, I forget the gentleman's name, but he always had the overalls on, it was always the hat and the whole thing. He looked exactly the same 365 days a year. And he took a photo of that man. He took a photo of him, and it's a beautiful photo of him. And I mean, it's color, it's full color, and he's looking, majestic. He's like this, and he just looks great. And there's a picture behind. I just still remember that photo. And I remember another photo that he took. That's in the library of his shop. That same gentleman's shop. It looks like a mess. And I guess that's why he took the photo. It's just without him. Just his works area is an absolute train wreck. But it's a beautiful photograph. So I do love, and I remember this was before I became a photographer. I do remember looking at his work, going, "Oh my God, the detail!" And what camera did this guy use?
Phase one.
A phase one? I'm not surprised. Was that like a $12,000 camera?
Well, I first encountered his stuff back in the 90s, I think it was, or early 2000s, and it was very intimidating.
Yeah.
So what that phase one,
Phase ones are extremely expensive cameras. No, they're more expensive than that cameras. A phase one camera now would, probably, depending on which one, they can get up to 60 grand. They get up there. So I'm not surprised, but I do remember thinking, what camera did this guy use? But yeah, phase one, of course. There's also, I think, have you seen the photos in the library?
Not currently, but the
There's another photo
that
that
I'm
looks.
thinking of is the series he did in the churches in Newtown.
Okay, I've seen his work. I've
Yeah.
seen his work. It's unbelievable.
And then just in the community in general. They're
Okay.
beautiful.
Yeah,
images.
there's another photo of his. I'm sure it's his because it looks very similar to the other ones of a beautiful little Mexican girl in a dress that's also there. So it's funny that you say that because as soon as you explained who he was, I just like 5 photos of his popped in my head. Yeah, and all the photos I saw before I was doing photography, and I still remember them. Very beautiful.
Good. Wonderful.
We do. We have another question. Hold on, from the back. Is it okay if I keep running around for questions? We're all engaged, right? This is important stuff. Okay, here we go.
I just want to thank you for the fabulous collection of the Freedom School photos that you did that were hung in the library, Betty Johnson. Absolutely amazing the way that you captured the school and the students and the staff. And what happened to them? Where are they now?
Well, first of all, that was funny because David Wilkins, who's on the wall, back in the gallery, he called me and explained what the Asala Freedom School was, and he said, what would you charge? I said, absolutely, I'll, gratis, which you guys still ended up blessing me anyway. But I came in, just me and the camera, no nothing, just me and the camera that day. And the kids were graduating, and I just remember the people, and it was just such a beautiful thing. And I just, quietly, as invisible as I could, just did it. So those photos, after they went on the wall of the library for that month or however long they were there, some of them, the photos went to David and Lois. David said to me, what would you want us to do with these? And I said, you know what, Jetson Grimes has a public art space. And so I know at least 5 of those images are there in his shop. And they're on the wall there with a picture of me.
Any other questions? No? All right, I'm gonna run up to the front.
When we get to see turnouts like this, it's really meaningful, and I think we all owe a really big round of applause to Christina Burrell.
Yeah.
Who makes all this look really easy. And Michael, Jessica, thank you so much. We owe you a round of applause for coming to talk to us. And to Michael's family, thank you for the provision and getting
him to actually speak, and that's really important for us too. So thank you all, have a great night, and we hope to see you again.